I got to grow up during one of the most chaotically beautiful eras of animation. I could turn on my TV and watch episodes of Billy and Mandy, Courage the Cowardly Dog, and Flapjack, then go onto the family computer and enjoy the latest shorts for Salad Fingers and Homestar Runner while listening to the Badger song. It's no wonder that my brain chemistry was irreparably jumbled up after soaking in those sorts of cartoons, though I'd like to think that some good came out of it too. I learned that not everything has to be pretty or easy on the eyes to be enjoyable. These shows pushed the boundaries of what I understood a cartoon to be with how strange they looked. It's beyond those boundaries that there was something else that I was drawn to, something that as a child I didn't know how to put into words. It's only within the last couple years that I've started to be able to finally understand what it was about all of these abstract, oftentimes grotesque cartoons that kept me coming back for more. There was a heart to them. There's one animator in particular that took my feelings and crystallized them into something tangible by dunking them in his own personal sauce of weird. The first animation of Joe Cappa's I saw was the short Scooby Snack, and in just the first few seconds, I knew it was something special. Seeing Shaggy Rogers dash towards the camera with the urgency of a man carrying the nuclear football reveal a glass pipe filled with the eponymous Scooby Snack is a first impression I'll never forget. This was also the perfect way to be introduced to Joe Cappa's art style. The element that almost everyone is drawn to immediately is the way he'll draw faces. There'll be all sorts of tiny details emphasized, like wrinkles, dimples, chins, teeth, and creases that most other artists would consider blemishes. The focus on these contours gives each character an uncanny, almost lifelike appearance. Like, just look at this baby. Real-life babies are tiny human blobs that look just like this, I swear. These carefully sculpted faces are contrasted by relatively flat, simple colors that let the imperfections stand out. To some people, this is just ugly. In my eyes, though, the imperfections are the main attraction. It's not ugly, it's honest. Like, this version of Fred Jones may look like an abomination that needs to return the slab to some people, but to me, I see a soul desperately clinging on to his connection to reality by a single thread. A thread named Delicate Steve. This Shaggy's eyes may seem empty to you, but it feels like they see me more clearly than I see myself. The Velma Dinkley here only uses 7 words.
Did I hear somebody say Scooby Snack?
But in those 7 words, you understand her better than if she had used 7,000. I have experienced moments like this. I have been these characters. And this short captures the humor and absurd beauty of just smoking a bowl in the middle of the night with your friends. It's like nothing I've ever seen. There's so much visually that leads you to expect the worst, but it never comes. Instead, there's a strange sense of comfort. The same driving philosophy of meshing the absurd with the sincere stretches across Joe Cappa's entire library of work on his YouTube channel. One video is about a guy meeting his girlfriend's son for the first time and letting him pick what he does next, which is either doing a flip or becoming Gollum.
We want it. We need it. Must have the process.
Another video is about the characters from hit 1993 blockbuster Jurassic Park discussing SNL during a smoke break, which I guess is something you do when you're surrounded by dinosaurs. Barely anything is happening in these shorts, and anything that does happen feels so ridiculous it becomes impossible to take seriously. Yet, at the same time, it resonates with me so much that it feels like some inexplicable part of myself has been acknowledged in a way that I can't on my own. It's mundane and magical all at once. I was a really shy kid growing up. None of the kids I knew from school were into the same things as me, so it felt impossible to make friends. It didn't really bother me though, because I had plenty of family in my life to spend time with. Parents, a sister, aunts and uncles, cousins by the dozens. I was far from alone. Just like the kids at school though, it felt like none of them really understood my interests. That's not for lack of trying. One of my fondest memories as a kid is getting a letter from my dad after having my tonsils and adenoids removed, saying he was sending his energy like in Dragon Ball for me to get better soon. It just felt like something was missing. Then, one summer afternoon, my aunt told me that a new family had moved into the house across the street, and that they had a son around my age. My aunt urged me to go introduce myself and ask the boy to come play. I remember being extremely anxious, but I managed to push past it. I walked across the street, knocked on their door, and the family's dad answered it. This was the first time I ever had to introduce myself on my own, so I can only imagine how crazy I must have sounded and looked to a guy who was probably just enjoying his Saturday afternoon. Still, he called out to his son and told him that someone is here to play outside with him. As we walked to the nearby park, he told me about all the things he was into. He liked video games, just like me, and thought that Dragon Ball was the coolest thing ever. Awesome. We were able to connect right away. He was a huge Zelda fan and seemed delighted to have someone he could talk about his favorite games with. I was really into Sonic at the time and felt the same way about those games. We hung out at the park till the sun went down, play fighting each other with our ultimate techniques for hours. Both of us were having too much fun and wanted to keep spending time together, so our families coordinated my inaugural sleepover at a friend's house. We stayed up all night taking turns playing Legacy of Goku 2 on my Game Boy Advance SP. It was the perfect ending to one of the best days of my life. I hadn't even realized it, but I felt more comfortable around this boy I had known for less than a day than I did most of my own family. I could be weird, be loud, be excited around him in a way that I couldn't with anyone else. He was the first person I could call my brother. Haha You Clowns got its start as a series of 7 short mini episodes on Joe Cappa's YouTube channel in 2023. I think the best way to start explaining what the series is about is to walk us through the first episode beat by beat. A group of 3 handsome young men and their beautiful girlfriends are gathered on a couch as they watch an action-packed cinematic classic. Their conversation is thoughtful and profound.
Do you guys know what cabeza de melon loca means in Spanish?
An older gentleman walks into the room. He's apparently the boy's father. He seems quite kind, offering to fetch some refreshments for everyone else. The boys follow their father's example and politely decline as they clean up the table of dirty dishes, trash, and other debris. One of the boys offers to help out. The father reassures his son that he can handle it before leaving the room. The girls express their gratitude and respect for the boy's father. The boys linger within that moment in silence for a while before they sing their own praises.
Not looking all eyes, our dad is Superman.
Their father returns with some bad news. They're all out of soda. He quickly proposes a solution and offers to go out and fetch some more. All 3 brothers interject and let him know they can make do with what they have at home, while asking him to join them in watching the movie. The father is deeply touched by the compassion exuded by his sons, his eyes burning red on the verge of tears. He comments that the boy's mother would be so proud of them if she was still alive to see them. And then, the most important moment in the episode.
Mom's here with us right now, Dad.
Oh. I was taken aback, to say the least, when I watched this for the first time. On one hand, this managed to capture the energy of the most tender moments in family sitcoms from the 80s and 90s within a 2-minute runtime. On the other, I'm pretty sure my fight or flight instinct was on full blast through the entirety of those 2 minutes. It cuts between multiple extreme close-ups of the characters' faces in such a short amount of time during conversations that it feels like the perspective is constantly shifting, and that we as the viewer are rushing back and forth between these people in the room. On paper, that sounds like a messy watch experience that can be difficult to make sense of, and to a lot of people it is, which is okay. When I watch this though, I feel like I get to really focus on just the characters, their words, and their actions. They give this simple conversation weight and make it feel important. Something as basic as gathering up bowls and trash is treated like a monumental achievement with the focus and detail it's given. And just as soon as you get all comfy and wrapped up in a blanket of warm feelings, in true Joe Cappa style, it ends in the most unexpected way possible. The juxtaposition is where a lot of the show's humor comes from, and it never fails to have me smiling for one reason or another by the end of an episode. This theme carries on throughout the rest of the shorts as we get to know our main characters better. The boys, from oldest to youngest, are Preston, Tristan, and Duncan Campbell. Their mother seems to have passed away very recently, based on some small bits of context that come up in conversation. She also is apparently a constant incorporeal presence that can interact with the world from beyond the grave. Mr. Campbell is trying to transition to the role of a single father as best he can, and he does a really great job despite a few bumps along the way. Each episode of the web short showcases a moment of connection between the boys and their father. These moments start off simple enough, but there will always be something out of place or unsettling by the end. Even so, they still have a profound impact on the characters, and they come out of these weird experiences with stronger connections and better understanding of one another. In episode 2, Mr. Campbell works the grill while the boys and their girlfriends hang out in the pool. The boys mention that their dad has a killer Elvis impression and encourage him to put on a show. Initially happy to oblige, he stops abruptly and starts muttering to himself. He doesn't feel it was very good and lets doubt get the better of him for a moment, before his boys pick him right back up. They reassure Mr. Campbell and talk about how proud they are of their dad. Mom then decides to enact a little pool mischief to end things off. Episode 3 opens with the Campbell bros playing an intense game of pool with one another. They check the time and notice that their dad is working late as usual, and decide to take matters into their own hands. Preston goes downstairs and insists to his dad that he needs to come take a break and play around with his boys, or else he's going to work himself into an early grave. Mr. Campbell realizes that his sons are worried about losing him like they lost their mother, and reveals that he has a surprise for everyone. He wasn't working late, he was putting the finishing touches on a family vacation to Mexico. We see the boys aboard a cruise ship looking out over a beautiful sunset. Mr. Campbell mentions that he wishes Mom was there with them on this trip, and the boys gently point out that she is there with them. a fish suddenly appears at their feet. Preston, Tristan, and Duncan are now adorned with crowns of various sea plants, and proclaim that this fish before them is a token of their mother's appreciation to her husband for raising her 3 beautiful baby boys. Every single one of these shorts is just as preposterous and just as genuine in how it portrays the characters. While the initial appeal of the series for me came from it embracing the abstract and being curious to see what ridiculous shenanigans Mom would get up to next, the more I watched, the more I started to be interested in just having a couple minutes to spend time with this funny little family. I loved getting to know more about their hobbies and interests like billiards and music, even if they were a bit misinformed at times.
Preston, aka Shooter McGavin, has 2 balls left. Can he make them in back to back?
Mom heating a small, localized pocket of air inside a whistle to have it play wasn't the coolest thing that we learned she could do in this episode. It's that she was able to kick Uncle Kelsey's butt in eating contests when they were kids. There's so many little details that tell you so much about the characters, from their ridiculous facial expressions to props in the background. I will admit, at first glance, I was a bit apprehensive on what kind of people the Campbells would be, and that was just based on how they looked. But by the end of the web shorts, I wanted nothing but the absolute best in life for this family. Their happiness and optimism was a radiant light that warmed my soul. I wanted to feel that warmth for as long as I could. Middle school was the first time I ever had a bus stop with kids besides me. As is the nature of children, everyone at the bus stop had their own little group they were a part of. My group was essentially the leftovers. It was me, my bro from the earlier story, and another boy in the same grade as us. This new guy was smart, the smartest person my own age that I knew. His dream job as a kid was to be a pilot, so he had all sorts of mechanical and engineering know-how. This guy's memory was insane too. There was this one time we got really into Viva Pinata, and we were playing it all weekend. He was reciting the different evolution paths in his sleep after pulling an all-nighter. He wasn't just smart either, this guy was cool. Nothing anyone did or said got to him. He was a master stoic by the age of 11. The only problem was that if something didn't interest him, he had no desire to engage with it. I had the exact same problem, and the two of us bonded over every unfinished homework assignment or missed Boy Scout meeting. We would rather be talking about Digimon or Halo anyway. By the end of the year, our little bus stop crew was inseparable, spending all day together at school and then hanging out together nonstop on the weekends. It was like this for years. I played my first MMOs with these guys, went on my first road trip with them, had my first real fights with them. We were brothers. One weekend in high school, we decided to do something a bit more exciting than usual. We went to the GameWorks location in our city and were ready to spend all day there. We started off with some Outrun, spent way too much time trying to beat House of the Dead, and mashed on whatever version of Tekken they had at the time. We were all having so much fun. After a while, we decided to take a break and get some food. I remember there was a silence that hung over us for a couple minutes as we began to eat. My newest brother eventually broke the silence, saying that he had something important to tell us. His parents were getting divorced. His hands were trembling and his eyes were watery. He was scared that the three of us would never be able to spend time together like this again. The friend who I had thought of as unshakable for half a decade by that point was scared to death. So we did the only thing we could do reassure him that we wouldn't let that happen no matter what. We would be there for each other through thick and thin. After all, that's what brothers do. Ha Ha You Clowns was picked up by Adult Swim for a full season in 2025, with each episode now having an 11-minute runtime. The longer format meant that narratives weren't necessarily constrained to a single situation, and the dynamics between characters was given even more time to develop and flourish. Not only that, it gave the characters more time to show the viewers their personality and quirks, like Preston's love of aviation, Tristan's passion for performance, or Duncan's anxious tendencies. Let's break down the first episode just like we did before and dive a bit deeper. Just like the first episode of the web shorts, the Campbells are having a movie night together with the brothers' girlfriends, and everyone seems to be having a blast. Suddenly, something happens that seems to upset Mr. Campbell, and he says that he'll be heading off to bed early. His sons seem concerned, and try to figure out what could be causing their dad to get so tired during a movie. Their next-door neighbor, billiards legend Jeanette Lee, suggests that they try to watch his favorite movie to keep him awake, and at first it seems like it's working. Mr. Campbell is laughing at all the jokes and having a good time right along with everyone else. But then a scene comes on where a ship's captain is writing a letter to his wife at home, and Mr. Campbell makes a swift exit from the room once again. The brothers are at a loss. They refuse to give up, though. While working his job at the local Savers, Preston shares his dad's zonking problem with a couple of his elderly co-workers. They dote on how sweet he is for being so considerate to his dad, then make judgmental remarks about a customer passing by in comparison. The young Campbell ignores their negativity and calls out to the customer, complimenting the craftsmanship of his t-shirt. One of the ladies asks about what The Terror Within is, and the customer explains that it's an iconic piece of horror cinema that left him so scared he couldn't sleep for a week. The cogs begin turning in Preston's head as he begins to put together a plan. The boys pick up a copy of the movie and start looking more into what it's about. Everything they read makes them more and more excited at the prospect of being able to finish a movie with their dad again. However, Duncan seems hesitant. Tristan initially thinks it's because of how horrifying the movie is supposed to be, but his younger brother confides that the thing he's truly scared of is his family falling apart. The movie on its own should be just what they need, but Preston decides to take an extra step as a precaution.
It's the only way.
The Campbells sit around the TV, eating ice cream as they watch the movie. Finally, it seems like they've cracked the code to keep their dad awake. As time goes on, though, something seems wrong with Mr. Campbell. He starts a spontaneous game of catch, jogs in place, and starts randomly quoting the other movies they've been watching. His expression is manic, and his eyes burn a familiar red. And then... Everyone is shocked into silence. Mr. Campbell immediately apologizes for his erratic behavior, ashamed that his sons had to see him in such a state. The brothers assert that this was no fault of his, but theirs. They were the ones who picked the movie out and who made a big deal about their dad staying up late to spend time with them. Preston also reveals that he mixed pre-workout powder into Mr. Campbell's ice cream, resulting in one of the funniest cuts of animation I've seen in a long time. This show of personal accountability encourages Duncan to do the same. He accidentally overwatered their mother's prized petunias and killed them, then replaced them with fakes because he was too afraid of admitting the truth. Everyone's feelings are out in the open now. Mr. Campbell tells his sons that although he misses their mother dearly, he's given so much joy through seeing her kindness and compassion carried on by her boys. The brothers reassure their father that those virtues come from him as well. The episode ends with Duncan planting a new batch of petunias as Tristan and Preston watch on with pride. It's a new beginning for them, a new day, and today is all we have. This first full episode of the show began to solidify in my mind what I believed it was trying to do, what it wanted to say. To us as viewers, we know that Mr. Campbell needs to remove himself from movie night when it starts to remind him of his wife and how much he misses her. The boys don't seem to realize that though, and watching them try to find a solution to a problem that can't be fixed is as funny as it is endearing. They're so invested in trying to make their dad happy, I can't help but cheer them on with a smile. I think the most important addition of the full series is giving the Campbell family more places and people to interact with. We get to see how they shape and are shaped by the world around them. Jeanette Lee essentially being Wilson from Home Improvement giving sagely anecdotes is hilarious, and seeing Preston non-aggressively deflect the pessimism of his older coworkers towards an innocent customer warmed my heart. These are just honest, good-natured young men trying to navigate a world that's much more cynical than them. Even when things get hard, like when Preston lost his bomber jacket and faced an existential crisis, or when their naivete gets them into trouble, like using Nana's old hot tub filled with pestilence. Their dad is always there to lend them support. Whether that's through calling to check in during a tornado warning or grabbing some gum during airplane turbulence, Mr. Campbell is always happy to be there for his family in even the smallest way. It sets an example that Preston, Tristan, and Duncan follow beautifully. They care about each and every single person they meet and want them to achieve their dreams. These are boys who, as soon as they heard their dental hygienist was having a baby, dropped everything they were doing to go and visit her in the hospital with gifts.
Valerie had a baby. Move that.
Their laugh fills my heart with joy every time I hear it.
Aha! Gotcha!
It's so silly, but so beautifully sincere at the same time. Life immediately after high school was kind of a doozy for me, if I'm being honest. Go straight into college with no real direction, get burnt out within a year and a half and drop out, then drift from crappy job to slightly less crappy job over and over again. People let me down, and I let myself down too, so I walled myself off from the people around me I didn't know. I had the few people in my life that I knew would be there for me unconditionally, and that was all I needed. I didn't need anyone else. But that changed after I picked up my first tech support job. There was this incredibly jolly ginger guy who was the top performer in the company. He'd take time to remember you and your family's names, check up on you regularly, knew the perfect time to crack a joke. It was hard not to like the guy. When he'd check in on me, we started to realize how much we had in common. Games, anime, music, we were on the same wavelength. A core memory of mine is one night, while we were both quite inebriated, we proclaimed that there was exactly one song that could get us to cry on command. Just to test it out, we agreed to count down from 3 and start singing the song we had in mind. We both started singing Dango Daikazoku from Clannad and began bawling and laughing all at the same time. We were stuck with one another from that point on. We got through some insane stuff together just within the first few months of knowing each other, but there's one night that stands out. I was crashing in my ginger friend's apartment for a few weeks before I got moved into my own. I was playing some Smash 4 online in their living room, just minding my own business. All of a sudden, the window next to me crashes open and I hear screaming from outside. I'm too dumbfounded and caught off guard to do anything, but my ginger friend jumped into action right away. It'd take too long to explain the whole lead up and background of this, so I'll just say it was a couple of guys who were on some dumb shit. He beat the hell out of the people breaking in and was right back to his jolly self while explaining the situation to the police a few minutes later. I've always remembered that night, because it was the first time he showed me what it really meant to stick up for yourself. I've always struggled with doing that, and for him it came so naturally. He's always believed in me, even during the times I don't believe in myself. One thing he's great at is getting me out of my comfort zone. I've eaten food, listened to music, and watched movies I never would have before thanks to him. He rekindled my love for Gundam by watching Iron-Blooded Orphans with me, which is still my favorite in the franchise. This man has seen me plunge into the depths of a mosh pit and get hit so hard my glasses lens goes flying. We butt heads a lot, but it's only because we're both so passionate when we talk about stuff we're interested in. I'm more comfortable speaking my mind now because of it. In a time when I needed it most, he reminded me the importance of opening yourself up to the world. He's more than just my ginger friend. He's my ginger brother. It's Mr. Campbell's birthday, and the brothers have organized a surprise party for him. They've invited a bunch of his friends who've come from all over just for the occasion. At first, he seems excited to see everyone, especially his old fraternity brothers from college. His expression tenses up when he notices one of them approach, though. This man's name is Brewski. The first impression we get of him is far from great. He pokes fun at the Campbell boys and tries to pressure Preston into drinking a beer despite being underage. Everyone laughs this off with Preston making a joke about him needing to watch his figure, but it's evident that the whole family, especially Mr. Campbell, are a bit uncomfortable with Brewski. As the night continues, the fraternity brothers regale the party with tales of their college antics. They talk about Mr. Campbell's tendency to go Hulk mode after he had too much to drink. The boys are genuinely curious as to what Hulk mode means, but the answer leaves them mortified. Mr. Campbell would throw Brewski like a human javelin when the two of them got drunk together. On one especially bad night, he threw Brewski off their fraternity house's roof onto a foreign exchange student, severely injuring them. Brewski laughs and makes light of the situation as the story is being shared, but the Campbells are all deeply shaken. It becomes too much for Mr. Campbell. The boys try their best to continue entertaining the guests, but Brewski is still being a nuisance. They gently tell Brewski he's being cut off, which goes about as well as you might expect. He shoves his beer towards the eldest brother and tells him to finish his drink for him if he's being cut off. Prove to Brewski that he's his father's son by going Hulk mode. You could cut through steel with the tension compacted into this one moment. Preston is trapped within that tension. Mr. Campbell is spurred to action and is about to intervene until...
I'm not my father.
The boys then learn that even though their dad had a crazy first couple years at college, he completely changed after meeting their mom. She helped him concentrate on school and guided him on the path to being the great man he is now. They sing an ode to what I assume was mom's sorority. Some time passes and the party is coming to an end. Duncan, Tristan, and Preston say goodbye to everyone in classic Campbell fashion, wishing everyone well and safe travels as they hand out bags filled with party favors. There's one last guest that they need to take care of now. Brewski is blubbering and incoherent on the couch, beer still in hand. The three brothers carefully remove his shoes and carry him to bed, despite the older man's complaints. They tuck him in as they sing the same ode from earlier and send a text to his concerned wife from his phone to assure her that he's okay. Brewski makes one last jab at the boys before he falls asleep. Preston laments how sad his father's friend must be deep down, and they slip an envelope into his party favor bag before leaving the room. The morning after the party, the boys wake up early, hoping to give their home a quick cleaning before their dad wakes up. It turns out that Mr. Campbell had woken up even earlier than them to cook everyone an intricate Chinese meal. The brothers want to help out, but Mr. Campbell insists that they sit down and enjoy the food. He has something he'd like to share with them. He opens a box, revealing numerous letters along with photos and some trinkets. These are all from the foreign exchange student Mr. Campbell hurt during the Hulk mode incident. He confesses that he initially tried to hide that part of his past from his sons because he was scared it would change how they see him. But now, he understands that it's okay for them to know everything about him, even his greatest failures. Those failures taught him some of the most important lessons in life. They might even make a lifelong connection through that failure, just like he did. The family laughs as they enjoy the meal together, until one of the brothers questions where Brewski is. The scene shifts to a church. There's apparently an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting going on today. We see Brewski standing among a small group of people holding a letter. He begins to read it aloud. It's from the Campbell boys. They sincerely thank Brewski for his friendship with their dad and traveling such a long way for his birthday party. They remark how easy it is to get caught up in trying to relive days gone by, and how important it is to know when some of the things tied to that past should be left alone. As politely as possible, they tell Brewski that they think he has a drinking problem and should consider seeking help. The letter approaches its conclusion, with each brother reading a part of the Webster Dictionary definition of brotherhood. It's a very thorough dissection of the word, and it's funny hearing it come from these guys. To them, though, brotherhood has a much simpler meaning: love. This is probably my favorite episode in the entire season. Learning more about Mr. Campbell's history is great, but it's how they explore that history that makes this episode special. Brewski being this living personification of himself at his worst is distressing not just for him, but us as the viewer. Brewski is also the biggest asshole the boys have dealt with up to this point, bar none. We know that Mr. Campbell is a wonderful person. We've seen him demonstrate this numerous times over. But he's so scared of his boy's image of him being stained that he can't even speak up for himself here. For a moment, it almost seems like this might happen. Brewski pushes them over and over, trying to get them to stoop to his level, the level that their dad used to be on. Their dad is their hero, though, and nothing can change that. That's all that they need to know the right thing to do. Treat Brewski with the utmost care and compassion. They don't care that he's still spouting insults, because it's more important that he gets the help he needs. This is an unironically fantastic depiction of a gentle intervention. People can falter and make mistakes, sometimes ones that they can't take back, but you can't pretend that they didn't happen, because they're part of what makes you who you are. Mr. Campbell understands that better than anyone after his birthday, and is able to pass that lesson along to his sons. This was the episode where I finally felt like I truly understood the heart that was beating within this silly, sincere show. 2020 came for me as it came for everyone. So by the end of that year, I was exhausted in mind, body, and especially spirit. I didn't have a car, I lost my job, I was isolated from most of my friends, but hey, at least I had a YouTube channel. A YouTube channel and a really cool roommate. We had been friends before I moved in that year, meeting originally through a mutual friend in the Smash community, but the following months in quarantine brought us much closer. Going to get lunch and finding a new video to watch together was a daily ritual of ours. He introduced me to some amazing creators like Mandalore Gaming and Bricky, and I got to show him my favorites like Thor High Heels and Nitro Rad. It was either videos or some goofy animation like Hellbenders. He's actually the one I watched Haha You Clowns with as it came out. We would play games together all the time back then too. He was one of the only people I knew who could keep up with me in a fighting game. He's also the one who finally got me to start watching the UC side of Gundam. We were always down to try something new, and would move from hyperfixation to hyperfixation together. But I think I remember those moments watching stuff together the most, because we would always end up pausing and chatting with one another. We'd talk about any memories we had about the subject material, or point out an uncanny connection with something totally out of left field, or to just make a stupid joke that only the two of us would get. We had fun together. We were able to bring each other some joy in an otherwise joyless point in our lives. New Year's Eve of that year rolled around, and we were hosting a very small get-together at our place with a couple of friends over. I was trying my best to have a good time, but was stressed out because within a month, I'd be moving across the country again and getting ready to start college from scratch. We were all gathered in the backyard as the clock was about to hit midnight, and my roommate started giving the most heartfelt, tender speech about how much he cherished everyone there with him. He wasn't even that intoxicated. It was just him showing genuine love for the people he valued in his life. And as cheesy as it was, as loud as the voice in the back of my head was shouting to not take it to heart, I believed him. I believed him because I got to see that love displayed in the little acts of kindness he'd do on a regular basis. He'd drive us to go shopping or get food. He'd cook hearty and healthy meals like curry or tacos for the whole house. He'd put up with my cat yelling in front of his door at 5 a.m. on the dot every morning. He cared. He cared about me and all of the people in his life. When I started thinking about that, I started to feel a bit better. It reminded me of how much love I'd been shown all throughout my life up to that point. The kid who came out to play with me. The guy who trusted me enough to be vulnerable. The ginger who I sob sang Dango Daikazoku with. And so many other wonderful people that I am grateful to call my brothers, sisters, and siblings. I was, and am still, surrounded by so much love that even as I write this, I can't help but smile. 2025 was the first full year I've lived without my dad around. And I'll be honest, it's been a struggle a lot of the time. There are days where I just wish I could call him and shoot the breeze like we always used to do, talking about the TV shows we were watching and complaining about work to one another. I talked to him every day. I love him so damn much, and I miss him. I found other ways to stay connected to him, though. I've started doing the math to get the precise gas mileage of my car every time I fill it up, just like he did. And I've gone to a couple movies I know he would have loved to see, like Mission Impossible. I've been making my bed the same way he used to, with an extra blanket at the bottom to keep my toes warm. Most importantly, I've tried to carry on his legacy of kindness. He was the type of guy who was on a first-name basis with his favorite cashiers at the grocery store and donated blood as often as the state would allow him. There was one time we picked up a hitchhiker when we were out shopping, and in the 10 minutes we had this guy in our car, my dad found out that our guest was a fellow vet and helped point him in the right direction of a representative who could help him get the most of his VA benefits and get him on the right track. I think the only thing my dad truly hated was invasive rodent species like groundhogs. He was the nicest guy I've ever known. I miss him a lot, but there's one thing he always told me that reassures me. He said that I always knew how to make great friends. Everyone in these stories I've shared are still a part of my life today. The bus stop crew still play games together. I live with the ginger now, and I still see my old roommate almost every day at work and outside of it. It's because of them that I can look at the end of this year with my chin up and my eyes wide open, ready for whatever's next. Love is an interesting word to define because it can be classified as both a noun and a verb. As a noun, it implies that it's something to be held, an object to treasure. This is a fine enough interpretation, but to me, love is much more powerful as a verb. It's an act, a conscious and deliberate effort to show just how strongly you care about someone. Big or small, a single choice to be there for someone unconditionally can mean the world. I say this from experience. I would be in a much worse place if not for all of the love I've been shown over this last year. It's so tempting sometimes to just give in to pessimism and hyperfixate on everything going wrong with the world. But that wouldn't be right. I'll go against the grain and share this gift I've been given, because everyone deserves it. This is the heart of Ha Ha, You Clowns. It's strange. It's funny. It's kind of creepy. But ultimately, it wants to uplift you so you can uplift others. Life is a journey filled with enough bumps and roadblocks as it is. You should leave the trail you walk a bit cleaner than how you found it, and pick your fellow travelers up when they've fallen if you can. That'll be my call to action for this video if you've made it all the way to this point. Try to be a bit more kind this coming year. Be kinder to strangers, be kinder to your friends, be kinder to yourself. The world is a much brighter place with your light in it. Appreciate you.